It was supposed to be a celebration. My birthday, 32, a downtown rooftop restaurant in Chicago, candlelight flickering off wine glasses, laughter bouncing off glass walls. Everyone looked perfect, polished, loud, and somewhere in the middle of it all sat Daniel, quiet, still, and fading. He wore the suit I picked out, the one that brought out his shoulders. He greeted my friends with a handshake and a warm, measured smile. But that's just it. Measured. While my girlfriends giggled about surprise flowers and dramatic love notes, Daniel simply raised his glass when the waiter brought out the champagne. No toast, no speech, no grand gesture, just Daniel being Daniel. I don't know when it started to bother me. Maybe when Liz's boyfriend lifted her hand and kissed it in front of everyone, and the whole table swooned. Or when Kyle, the corporate clown of the group, made everyone laugh with some over-the-top story about how he chased down a lost Uber just to bring his girlfriend her makeup back. All eyes were on them, on their drama and glitter. And mine? They kept drifting to Daniel, quiet, composed, invisible. It wasn't like he didn't love me. He did. I know he did. He always showed up, picked me up from late nights, made coffee when I was running behind, remembered my allergy meds when I forgot. But none of that sparkled. None of it showed. And tonight, under the city lights and high expectations, I wanted sparkle. I wanted a show. So I started to poke. Just small things. I laughed a little too loudly at Kyle's joke about boring husbands. I made a show of admiring Liz's bracelet, a birthday gift that apparently took months of planning. I glanced at Daniel, hoping he'd respond, maybe squeeze my hand or whisper something sweet, but he didn't. He just watched me with that same quiet expression he always wore, attentive but unreadable. And suddenly, something childish stirred in me. I wanted him to react. I wanted him to fight for attention. I wanted, if I'm being honest, to make him look small in front of everyone, just so he'd finally rise to match the noise. That's when I leaned toward the center of the table and said, just loud enough, "You know what's funny? With Daniel, I always know exactly what I'm getting. Every day. The same man. No surprises." The laugh came out forced. A few others chuckled politely. Daniel didn't say a word, but I saw something shift in his eyes. Not hurt. Not anger. Something colder. Something removed. I should have stopped there. IDID in single quotes T. Instead, I lifted my glass, clinked it against his, and added, "Predictability has its charm, right?" He smiled, the kind of smile you give to strangers on elevators, and I knew, even in that moment, that I'd just placed the first crack in something I didn't understand, something I might not be able to put back together. The waiter brought out the cake, gold leaf, custom topper, sparklers fizzing like fireworks. Phones came out. Liz gasped. Kyle clapped. I smiled wide, soaking it all in like champagne on silk. And Daniel? He was clapping too, quietly, politely, like someone watching a play he didn't audition for. Someone, I think it was Maya, leaned in and said, "So, what did this man of yours get you for the big day?" Her tone was playful, teasing. It was an innocent question, but it opened a door I shouldn't have stepped through. I shrugged dramatically. "Oh, you know Daniel, practical, reliable, same coffee mug, same morning kiss, same Daniel." The table chuckled. Someone joked, "At least he's consistent." And then it came, the spark I should have smothered. I leaned back in my chair, took a slow sip of wine, and said, loud enough for the table to catch, "Honestly, I think I need a new husband." The words came out smoother than I expected. A joke, a jab, a little public spark to make him respond, rise, prove me wrong. But the reaction wasn't what I expected. The laughter around the table was strained, tight. A few guests glanced awkwardly at each other. Liz gave me that wide I don't know look. Even Kyle, who could dish out jokes like confetti, raised his eyebrows and took another sip of his drink. Daniel didn't flinch. He didn't smile, didn't scowl, didn't look hurt or amused. He just sat there, perfectly still, like the calm eye of a storm I didn't know I'd summoned. I panicked. Not visibly, but inside. I felt the heat of the room shift. The buzz of celebration curdled just a little. So I did what I always do when uncomfortable. I doubled down. "Well," I added with a grin that felt brittle, "at least one of us is married to a fun person." That did it. The air changed. There was a silence, a real one this time. Not the pause before a punchline, but the silence of something slipping loose. Daniel slowly set down his fork, dabbed his mouth with a napkin, and looked up at me, not like a man offended, like a man taking inventory. He didn't say a word, and somehow, that was worse than anything he could have said. I looked round, trying to laugh it off, but no one followed me. The table had gone cold. Even the sparklers on the cake were fizzling out, throwing shadows across Daniel's face. For the first time that night, I noticed how tired he looked. Not in the eyes, in the soul, like someone who had been showing up quietly for years, only to watch the person he loved twist his steadiness into shame. He didn't need to speak. He was speaking with absence, with silence that thundered louder than applause. And for the first time in our marriage, I didn't feel superior. I felt scared. The silence had weight now, a hum that pressed into my chest and made the flicker of candlelight feel like a spotlight. Daniel didn't look angry. He looked resolved, like someone who'd come to a decision long before tonight, and was only now letting me see it. He reached for his glass, sipped his water, and set it down slowly. Then came the moment I didn't understand until it was too late. He folded his napkin with care and placed it beside his plate. His fork followed, aligned neatly like punctuation at the end of a sentence. Then, he looked at me, not past me, not round me, but directly into me. "I'll gladly free up the position tonight," he said. There was no venom, no raised voice, no drama, just a sentence, clean and final, like the sound of a door that clicks shut instead of slamming. The entire table froze. My mouth opened, but nothing came. Just air. I managed a laugh. Brittle, sharp. "Daniel, come on." I was joking. He didn't blink. "I know," he said. "And that's the part that stings." I tried again. "You're really going to make a scene on my birthday?" He shook his head gently. "No scene. You've had enough spotlight tonight." I could feel the panic rising now, clawing up my throat. My heart thudded in my ears. I looked around the table, searching for an ally, but all I saw were averted eyes and lowered forks. Daniel leaned back in his chair, calm, almost detached. "You ever wonder why I stopped trying?" he asked. Not just to me, but into the space between us. "It's not because I stopped caring. It's because I got tired of performing for someone who only applauds other people." My cheeks burned. "That's not fair." His voice stayed steady. "Neither is being married to someone who treats loyalty like wallpaper, pretty in the background, invisible until it's peeling." There was no cruelty in his tone. That made it worse. It wasn't revenge. It was release. And for the first time in our entire relationship, I realized Daniel didn't need to yell to break me. The napkin sat where he left it. White? Neat? Still. The only thing untouched in a room that suddenly felt like it had collapsed in on itself. I reached for his hand, but he was already standing. "I stayed quiet for a long time," he said. "I thought being the steady one was enough. I thought love meant enduring the little cuts. But tonight, you finally made one deep enough." He wasn't shaking. I was. Round us, the restaurant noise returned in whispers. Silverware clinked. Conversations picked back up. But our table, it sat in stunned silence, with only one thing moving: Daniel walking away. He didn't look back, and I didn't stop him, because some exits don't need doors slamming to echo forever.